Spending money to make your business smarter is easy, but knowing if it actually worked, that's the hard part. Hey everyone, welcome to AI Tech Tuesdays. I'm Crystal. I'm your host here with Yamille, your co host. And today we're going to talk about how the numbers don't lie, the mistakes that are going to cost you, and what's actually working right now for business owners in the trades.
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about how do you know what you're doing is working? So we're going to go over some questions that we're often asked by clients and prospects. The concerns that they have around, automating, modernizing, issues that they have on their daily operations and such.
Yes. Yes. We're going to come up with some examples that we have, some ways we've kind of navigated these concerns with our clients, and just give you some tips of what we've learned along the way. One of the questions that we have that's been asked to us is, how do we even know that that our business is getting smarter? I mean, what can we track to know that is one of the questions that we wanted to go over. Like, Mill.
Well, some of the things that you can track are your closing rates improving? Are your conversion rates improving from lead to even appointment? And then, of course, to close, your conversion rates to appointment ratios, response rates to emails or any communications that you send out, open rates. What else have you encountered, Crystal?
Well, even when you're in marketing, there's a few examples I wanted to go over, but I guess it's important to say, to be able to track these, you kind of have to know where to go to be able to track them as
Mm-hmm.
well. Some of these words may be even high tech for them. They might not even understand what a conversion rate is or a close rate if they're new in business. So even simple spreadsheets can help. Spreadsheets can really help us to be able to put the data together if we're helping you, or whoever's helping you to put together, a way to track this stuff, making sure we're tracking it in a spreadsheet, and then later putting together like a dashboard or something is helpful. But I would say some of the things also that we can track is also time your assistants or your team is working. Like, how much time are they dedicating to tasks? Do you feel like you're wasting more money? Does the data say you're making money or you're losing money? How's the business operations running? That's some of the ways we're able to determine. If I'm working with one of my assistants and they've automated some tasks for me, I'm able to use their time for other tasks. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
those things are continuing, like our regular invoicing that goes out. That happens on a regular basis. And there's just a few that have to be done manually, but it's regular. And it's not because they're programmed regularly to go out. It's because we've set up automations in specific ways to actually have them, because we have not set it specifically up to bill every week, but we've set up some automation. So that's kind of cool. But all those things, when we're tracking them, we're able to see and help us to be able to measure that our
Mm-hmm.
business is getting smarter with that data.
Exactly. Because you can't track what you can't measure, and you can't
Hmm.
measure what you can't track. So you have to have a way of doing both. In
Hmm.
order for you to be most efficient and to really track what's happening in your business, your revenue numbers, your profit, what you actually take home. Because revenue means nothing if you don't take any of it home, right? And if you're wasting a lot on labor costs that maybe you could be using in other ways, you could be maybe better leveraging the labor that you do have, the team that you do have to do things that only they can do, right? Versus some level of automation that could be infused into your business.
And more, we're seeing software come out with an AI portion to it that can
Mhm.
kind of analyze whatever it is, the data in there. I think more and more we're even seeing, like, even in QuickBooks or some of these softwares, where AI is kind of being brought in and we can see AI kind of working in there. One of the things I wanted to actually hit on too is an example of a client that I'm working with who has been using a specific person to help him with his marketing. And we were handling a piece of the marketing, and we've always pushed, we wanted to really have a better handle on the marketing, because it's been broken up and it's not a real complete strategy. But we actually, it was interesting that all this time we had been wanting to take a peek at the back end of like the Google ads campaign and the Amazon ads that were going on. And he went thinking that everything was okay and had no idea that inside where these ads are set up, whether it's Google or Meta, or if you're doing it on X or wherever it is you're advertising, there's actually data in there that you can actually download and you can view to tell you how your campaigns are doing. And in this instance, the business owner doesn't handle that stuff, and so he left that to someone else to handle and trusted that everything was okay, and had spent over $58,000 in this campaign with Google. And we yeah, I know it's crazy, and we were able to get him to download some reports. We guided him through. Finally, it's been months and months we've been wanting to kind of understand this a little bit better, and we found out that $38,500 of the money of the 58,000 was wasted. So
Mm,
it was the reports were
that's
a
tragic.
mess.
That's
It
tragic, and that's
is.
how businesses go out of business
Yep.
sometimes, you know?
Mhm,
Oh, that's
and
awful.
so and I it just in the last 30 days had said to me that he was putting more money into his campaign, but had not understand those numbers and that data, and I said, "Well, you might as well just throw the money in the garbage because you have no idea what's really working. You're
Mhm.
just throwing money at this problem." And sure enough, we downloaded those reports last week, and they were tragic. And so I just wanna leave that out there for business owners. If you're doing marketing campaigns, those numbers are extremely important. That data is extremely important. There's specific information that you can really get in there and get very detailed reports, and AI can help you analyze it.
Mhm.
You don't have to know it all. You can download those reports and use AI tools to help you analyze it and tell you what looks like, is good, where to improve. But the problem is when you don't know that those reports exist. So that's where, we're really trying to help guide you to understand that as a business owner, you really want to be tracking your data everywhere and keeping an eye on things. You don't have to be an expert in it, but it's important.
No, exactly. And you could do that even if you don't really know what the data all means. You can download it just like she said, just like Crystal said, and you can upload it into an AI. We've done this. In fact, we've done this with our YouTube channel. And
Mhm.
it guides us to which way we should go, what topics we should cover, what
Mhm.
kinds of the length of the videos that we should do. It's the same thing with operational expenses and profit and what have you, conversion rates, all of the metrics that we typically track. You might not know what to do with it, but if you collect it, at least you have it, right? And you can put it into the AI. The AI doesn't have emotion, right? It just crunches the data and it gives you ideas that you may have not even thought about
Mhm.
to improve and operate, to improve your business, to improve operations, to even improve revenue and results
Mhm.
that you're getting for whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. In this specific instance, it was crazy because, like, he had almost paid $400 to sell a product that was costing $199, or that he
Yeah.
was selling at 199. So they were charging him 200 or 400 to sell a $200 product. So he was upside down in a lot of these sales that were made, and he had no idea. Nobody was paying attention. Just continued to add more words
Mm.
in this ad campaign in a really broad manner, not kicking out any words that were negative words. So searches that were intended to buy his product, drug in searches that were actually intended for out of the country. Other products had no idea. Swimming pools, he doesn't sell swimming pools, has nothing to do with swimming pools in Mexico or tiny homes in Mexico, but this is what was being drug in.
Mhm.
And so it's also messing up the analytics. It's messing up. There was actually in this report was saying that there was a lot of conversions that actually weren't conversions. They were ghost conversions because it
Oh,
was
no.
set up wrong, and it was set up to the wrong landing page. So even the analytics and more and more these these platforms are using AI as well, and the algorithms to help teach it. So the algorithm had been trained wrong. So everything, it was a really bad deal. And so you got to think about that as you're moving forward with the data, your numbers, making sure we have that information, because our algorithm and our AI is more and more reading this data, and we need it to be accurate.
Yeah. So if you're not doing that yourself, like the example that you're giving is running ads, if you're not running ads yourself, you should absolutely, I wouldn't say request, but you should probably demand that whoever's running your advertising gives you reports on a regular basis so that you can
Mhm.
I mean, you're the one who's feeding the machine, right? You're the one who's providing the money. You need to know what kind of return on investment you're getting.
Yeah.
And I bet you anything, if that person realized that they were paying $400 per purchase, I mean, how do you stay in business when you're losing half?
Upside down.
You're upside down by by twice the cost
Yeah. Double.
of the whatever
Uh-huh.
product. It's
Yeah.
twice. You know,
Google's taking
you
your
don't
money.
I
You're
mean,
in
listen,
business for Google.
if you're making 10 grand a month, but you're spending 20, how long are you gonna stay viable,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's not gonna work that well. So, if you have somebody else doing this is an example of advertising, but if you have somebody else doing whatever it is for you and you're giving them money, you need to make sure that they are good stewards of your money and that they're taking care of you and doing the right thing by you. So, and have them give you the data so that you can analyze it and make decisions based on that.
Yeah, and in this scenario, I really think it was the biggest issue is someone who is, a little closer than just some company running things, and so there was more
Mhm.
trust there. And I wouldn't say that it was an intentional, but it was just something that they didn't understand and they were trying to run and had no understanding. And there's so many
Mhm.
marketing companies out there that really they're using you as a to test the waters. They
Yeah,
haven't even done it themselves, and they're just okay, and they're taking your money and running with it, and it's costing you a lot, and it's putting companies out of business.
exactly. Not a great place to be. All
Mm-mm.
right, let's move on. How about another question we get asked a lot are what are the biggest mistakes business owners like me make when upgrading their operations?
Mhm.
What have you heard from people?
So, I've heard some of the biggest mistakes that I feel that they've made that I can tell that they've made when I'm working with them is that they've added more systems and tried to upgrade the systems instead of making sure whether or not the systems they have can work for what they need. So much stuff is being sold out there, so many applications, so much software. We're overwhelmed by this. And a big mistake is being made is just purchasing this software, wanting to upgrade before you're actually prepared for the upgrade, not having the data in order. What about you, Yamil? What have you
Well, I
seen?
mean, one of the things I like to use as an analogy is like sort of like driving with your gas light broken. You might be fine, or you might be running on empty. I mean, red or black, right? You don't know until you're stuck on the other side on the side of the road with with a busted up car. You
Mhm.
don't want to be in that position. You want to make sure that you're doing things the right way in the right speed. If
Mhm.
you're in scaling mode, you don't want to scale too fast because scaling too fast can be problematic,
Can be
especially
tragic.
yeah, it can be very it can take businesses down, and actually it often does, but the thing is, if you're scaling processes that are not working properly, you're just exposing the problem, making it
Mhm.
worse. So you should really make sure that whatever it is you're doing is working as intended, and then you can scale that, right? And you can
Mhm.
automate some of that. But just you got to make sure that your offer works, whatever it is that you're doing is smooth and works fine, and you have enough staff to support it, especially if you're providing a service
Mhm.
because you don't wanna, like, go too fast and then you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't have enough techs to handle all the requests I'm getting," or that whatever it is that you do for your business.
Mhm.
So, you just have to be mindful to make sure that when the time comes to upgrade and scale and what have you, that you're doing it in the right pace at the right time with the right tools, and don't overbuy tools because that's another thing we see constantly. "Oh,
Mhm.
I bought this thing, but I don't have time to set it up."
My goodness, it's very common. I'll be meeting with business owners that are my clients, and we'll be in a regular meeting and I'll hear they have another tool. And I think, why did you get that tool? You already have two other tools that do the same thing, but they don't know about it. And I've mentioned this before. It's so critical when someone comes to buy you a piece of software, if they're not inquiring and asking you specific questions like what data are you tracking? What software stack do you have? What do you use now already? And they're not asking those questions before they sell you the software,
Don't buy it.
fire them. You do not want what they're selling you. Just get rid of them because they are just wanting to sell you something and they don't care about you having a solution. All they care
Yeah.
about is what they're making off the deal. So,
Mhm. They're not
always double check on that
diagnosing
stuff. Mhm.
they're not diagnosing the problem and figuring out what it is you
Mhm.
actually need. Because like she said, it's like you have software X and software Y, but they might do the same thing or they may overlap in some way. So why do you need something that is the same as X or Y? Maybe you need Z to connect all the pieces,
Mhm.
And sometimes it is just trying to sell somebody something that they don't actually need just for the sake of selling it,
Yep,
right?
yep. And one of the things too, and I say this all the time, even to my team, when my team reaches out and they have a question, if you're in doubt, you can ask AI. Tell AI what you have and tell them what they're trying to sell you. Do I need this piece of software? Does the current software I have, could it help me or would it actually be
Mhm.
beneficial? Use AI. Don't just be stuck on what your own brain can tell you. Even if you're not an expert in something, you can go in and get AI to help you. That's what these AI tools are for. And more people, would you agree, Yamil, that more and more people are using AI tools? I mean, I'm seeing contractors with a little chat GPT on their phone and they're talking to it here and there. People who were so resistant over the last year have really
Yeah,
started
yeah.
to use it more, even at a basic level, not really deep in, but these tools are out there.
Well, I find myself doing it more and more. I mean, this is the business we're in, right? So we obviously are going to use a lot of tools that other people aren't necessarily using. But I mean, the Google search just on its own has changed dramatically. Like back in the day, or not too distant past, you type in a query or you talk to your assistant on your phone and you ask a question about pizzas near me or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good example because it's just a restaurant, but let's just say maybe I'm asking a specific question. I can't think of something right now, of course, because I'm on the spot, but I asked a specific question about something, and it used to be that it would give you the top 3 results of, with links and websites and
Hmm.
whatever. And now it doesn't do that. It gives you the AI summary first.
The overview. The
So, I
overview.
mean, that just shows you right there that everything is changing. So, how we're searching for information is changing, and
Very
so we have to
quickly.
adjust very, very
So
quickly. But
quickly. It's just as quick as you can get a response from AI. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have all this information. It's may not all be accurate, but
I
we have to be
know,
careful because
I
that's
know,
how fast things are moving, but that's also how fast mistakes are being made. So,
right, correct. But yeah,
nobody's perfect out there.
but we use it all the time. I mean, I know Crystal
Hmm.
uses it. I know I use it, and a lot of times, I think this is one of the things that we're trying to get across that business owners may not realize that this is possible. And a great use for AI for anybody is brainstorming partner. Think of
Hmm.
creative ways to market X. Think of some out of the box ideas for my gym. I have
Hmm.
this challenge that is starting in June or
Hmm.
whatever. How can I reach more people? What can I do? Those kinds of things that you'd be surprised at the answers you get because most of the time, 99% of the time, you've probably never considered it.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with data that you feed into the AI, right? A YouTube channel, an ad campaign, a website statistics, whatever. Your profit and loss statement. How can I stop bleeding money? How can I
Hmm.
make more money? You know,
Hmm.
and you just put it all in there and it'll tell you,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
So it's a
And it
great way to
learns
use
more
it.
and
That's what
more
we're
with it.
seeing.
With ChatGPT, I know it'll want to please you. ChatGPT likes to please you, so it's going to try to give you, as it's learning you, it's going to try to give you responses that are going to make you happy. But you need to dig deep, and you got to see:
And
is
you know
this
what?
really what I want, and is it all there, or do I need to ask you some more questions, or does it need to ask you questions so that it has? Because sometimes that's a really good way to enhance your prompt. I
Yes.
know we're kind of changing a little bit on what we were talking about, but it's still really important because
Yeah,
your crafting your prompt is important, but also there may be questions that it's not asking you that it could ask you to really give you a better response. And you could even just say, hey, ask me whatever questions you need so that I can
exactly.
so that it can give you the right answer. And it'll start kicking out all these questions.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Another thing I do often is, if I'm working on a project or what have you, and I have a response, sometimes I'll say, is that the best you have?
Yeah.
Is that the best answer you can give me? I mean, I'm kind of expecting more out of this or that. Can you do better or do better? Just direct it. Just like you would. I mean, think of it this way. You're talking to the AI as you might talk to a human, right? They gave you, so and, so. project that you assigned them something, they gave you a so-so thing. I mean, they did their job, but it's so you might ask them, "Hey, can you make this a little bit better?" Do the same thing with the AI. You'd be
Mhm.
surprised at what changes. Be very,
For
very
sure.
surprised.
For sure. Even I'll tell you a really cool trick that I learned. Also, when I'm trying to figure out on the sales side of things, I'm trying to improve my business or even my sales methodology or email marketing out there, the campaigns I'm sending out. And I see something that has come to me from someone who's really good out there. I'll say, take this and break this down. What's the psychology behind everything?
Mhm.
How was this built? What was the method used behind this marketing material or this flyer or this, workshop that's been announced? Like they're sending and it's capturing my attention. What is it behind this? And how can I apply this in my business? How can I be able to do this, but the but the AI knows my business. It's a memory. So I'm like, take this whole scenario and the psychology and the hook and the everything in it and apply it to my business. And it's so cool the things it's been coming back with. So
Here's another tip. Look for your biggest competitor. Look to see what they're doing. And if you happen to know that they're very successful, we'll find out what can you reverse engineer what it is they're
exactly.
doing. I'm not talking about copying, verbatim. No, I'm not
Mm-mm.
advocating for that.
Mm-hmm.
But you could take whatever it is that's working and adjust it, mold it, make it work for your business.
Mm-hmm. That's why
Hot
it's so
tip.
important that you know who your competitors are, right? You want to know who
Yep.
your competitors are and what they're doing out there so you can analyze what they're doing as well. At least the big guys, there's other guys out there that are floating along, but there's really big competitors out there that we all have. And we really want to know what is it that's getting them, what is it that's helping them move their needle, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And, there's strategy behind this stuff, guys. Start helping learn it in your own business. Apply these techniques to be able to help yourself grow instead of having
Exactly.
to outsource this out to someone else who's going to charge you a ton of money and you don't understand it. Why not understand it? This probably isn't the first
Exactly.
business you're going to own. Some
That's
business
right.
owners own multiple businesses. So marketing is a key part of it. So understand it and
Exactly.
have AI help you.
Right. Well, Crystal, this has been a great episode, don't you think? Wow,
I,
we got talking here to a
yeah,
lot
we
of
did. Yeah, we
interesting
did.
we landed in a few rabbit holes, but it's good. I think it's really helpful.
Uh
So
huh.
thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in to AI and Tech Tuesdays. So if you take one thing from today, it's this.
One thing.
If you cannot fix what you can't measure. And you're probably closer than you think. So
Yep.
thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys there.
See ya.